Welcome to the Your Three-Prong Approach lesson. In this lesson, we're going to cover an overview of the three-prong approach strategy that you'll be following through the rest of this course to grow your business in the fastest, most efficient way possible. As you can see here, the three prongs have very straightforward names: the short-term prong, the medium-term prong, and the long-term prong. And as you can probably guess, they represent the different things you'll be doing to build your business in the short term, medium term, and long term. We're going to go over these in more detail, but first I want to make sure that you understand the reason why you're following a three-part approach. When you start out and have no brand recognition or testimonials, you need to hustle a bit to build direct relationships and to be more proactive with potential customers to get your first paying clients. But as you, your business, and your brand grow, you'll start attracting customers to you and so be able to focus instead on activities that scale. But you can't do those in the beginning because you haven't yet built the foundation you need to be able to do so. Essentially, what you do to get started isn't what you're going to be doing in a few months and definitely not in a few years. So anytime you find yourself thinking, ugh, the short-term or medium-term prongs are so much work, remember that you're not going to have to do those things forever or even that long. They're just what you need to do to get started. Now let's go over the three prongs and what they entail. The first prong is your short-term prong. It's what you can do to get your first clients right away. Basically, it's your lowest hanging fruit, and that is to leverage your network and to do targeted outreach. We'll go over how to do this in more detail in the next lesson, but it should be obvious why this is your short-term prong. You're leveraging existing relationships or you're being strategic about who you approach as a potential client to maximize your chances of getting your first clients. You're not waiting for someone to find you or to reach out to you. Your second prong is the medium-term approach. It's still quite hands-on, as this prong is about you starting to build brand recognition online and will require you to be active in online forums and groups so that you can quickly and efficiently start building an audience and becoming known. We'll cover this in more detail in the second section of this module. Your final prong is your long-term approach. This is where you're focusing on building your own email list. You're moving away from having to be super active on social media or to do a ton of targeted outreach, and your business is becoming more and more automated and leveraged as you scale it. I want you to notice that as you move from the short-term to the long-term prong, what you're doing becomes more systematized and automated. In addition, notice that you're starting out with one-off connections, moving onto social media and online platforms, and finally transitioning to your own platform and owning your audience via your email list. However, note that you're not relying on your email list in the beginning because that's something that takes a while to build, and we want you to get results before spending months or years building your email list. That's why this three-prong approach gives you the best of all worlds: short-term results while building the foundation for long-term systemization, scaling, and automation. All of the tactics we're going to talk about for each of the three prongs come down to this one strategy. You need to generate leads who are potential customers and make them aware of your business as a solution to their problem, whether that's through your network, social media, or any of the other strategies that we're going to cover. Out of all the leads you generate, a percentage will indicate interest in your solution, which makes them a prospect for your offer. They can indicate interest through replying that they want to learn more about what you have to offer, subscribing for your lead magnet, or some other action that indicates that they're interested. And then, of course, after buying from you, they move from being a prospect into a customer. Memorize this strategy because everything in your business boils down to this. And if this image looks familiar, it's because you've already implemented a version of it in the previous module back when we covered your first funnel. We built out one way to turn a visitor to your site into a lead, which they become once they opt in for your lead magnet. Then you set up an email sequence that converted a subset of those leads into prospects, which someone becomes once they indicate their interest in your offer by scheduling a sales call with you. And if they end up buying after your sales call, they of course become a customer. This is just one example of this strategy, and we're going to discuss a lot more. But I want you to remember, everything boils back down to site visitors, to leads, to prospects, to customers. To summarize what you learned in this lesson, we went over an overview of the three-prong approach you're going to be following through the rest of this course to build your business, as well as the one strategy that every tactic we're going to be covering in the rest of this course boils down to. I say this all the time because it's true. There's almost nothing new under the sun in terms of marketing and sales. Sure, new tactics pop up because our technology and our world changes, but the underlying principles are the same. As long as you understand those instead of just the tactics so that you can easily keep up as the world evolves, you will always succeed. Your next steps are to move on to the Your First Leads lesson, where we're going to cover how you're going to implement the first of your three prongs.